Hey, welcome back to New Script on the Block. I'm Nero, and today I have Ashley, Alyssa, and Matt with me. Whether you love listening to interviews with independent filmmakers, hearing unique indie film scripts, or catching a glimpse into how big blockbuster scripts were written, you can catch more screenwriting info here every week by subscribing on SoundCloud, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or comment at us wherever you're listening and tell us what you want to hear more of.
What are we reading today?
Today we are reading something that was selected by our esteemed colleague here, Ashley, which is esteemed.
Fresh.
We're reading a segment from what's this called? V for Vendetta?
V for Vendetta.
I've never watched it.
It's a phenomenal man, guys.
It's okay.
What is this episode coming out on the 5th of November?
It'll be out. Yeah, It's on my birthday.
Happy birthday, Ashley.
Oh yeah, today's my birthday.
What, today's your birthday?
No.
Today
When-
in the future when this episode comes out.
In the future when this episode is out, it's Thursday, November.
What do you mean? Today is November 5th. Did you guys know that Claire is
Nero's wife.
related to Guy Fawkes?
And I was born on Guy Fawkes Day.
So Nero has not seen the movie.
Correct.
And then Ashley and Matt seem to be super fans.
Yes.
Actually
I'm
skimmed the movie.
You skimmed the movie? What's that mean? Like you put
watched
it on in the
parts.
background and then like skipped around?
He's like, fast forward. Okay, great.
I get the
fast forward.
gist.
Yeah.
I can have an
Great.
educated conversation about this movie, but I don't need to know in detail what's happening.
Yep.
No, it was one of those, he watched it while he was at Sam's Club.
Oh,
Or
nice,
Costco
nice,
kind of things.
Nice.
That's
Like in
usually
glimpses
how
at
I
a
watch
time.
my movies.
That sounds really sad when you think about it. Like, this is where I have access to entertainment.
Right?
I watched parts of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I tried to watch it with some friends, but we were young and stupid, and we were, like, not really paying attention to the movie.
What were you doing instead?
Nothing.
Okay.
You guys are
Liar.
liars.
Was this before Netflix and chill?
Oh, it's definitely before
want
Netflix
Netflix
and
and
chill.
Same day rule. Let's go.
Where are we starting? Sorry, what page is this?
So this is going to be page 8.
Mm-hmm.
Or, well, it says page 8 on the top. But if you're following along in the PDF, it's going to be page 9.
Link in the description on SoundCloud and YouTube.
Yes. Along with the clips that we're going to watch. There's 2, by the way. Exterior, city street. Evie looks up and sees a man standing mostly in shadow. Continued.
Excuse me. Excuse me, mister?
The man turns around. It is not V.
Would you like to sleep with me?
He smiles.
I mean for money.
That is the clumsiest bit of propositioning I've ever heard.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
I thought you were... Okay, never mind. Sorry.
That was her line.
That
I was
your
apologizing
line.
for Nero's performance.
I'm sorry, too. Okay.
I thought it was good.
All right.
He believed my delivery. That's how you know he succeeded.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you want to go back?
Can you say your line and then...
Oh God, I'm sorry.
Is this your first time, darling?
Yes, no, I mean for money. But I know what you want, and I'll do it.
She presses her body to his, using her little girl eyes and her woman's mouth. Sorry.
Sorry,
she could be using
Not
sexy.
Not touch.
going
My
on
bad.
here?
Let me do that
So a
again.
Freudian slip if I ever heard one.
She presses her body to his, using her little girl eyes and her woman's mouth.
Anything you want, mister. Please, I need the money. I know I'm young, but I promise I know what I'm doing.
No, you don't know what you're doing.
He pulls out his wallet and shows her a badge. The sight of it knocks the breath out of her.
Christ, you're a fingerman?
Give the little lady a prize. I've got something to give her.
Evie turns and there are more fingermen behind her. Continued.
Prostitution is a Class H offense. Know what that means? It means that we get to exercise our own judicial discretion. And you get to swallow it.
The fingermen laugh.
Oh God, please, it's my first time. Please don't hurt me.
Gosh, fellas, look at those big innocent eyes. What do you think? Spared a rod, spoiled a child?
Fingerman 2 laughs hard as he drops his pants.
Oh no!
He shoves her face first against a brick wall, lifting her dress to expose her bottom.
Please don't!
You heard the man, sweetie. This rod's for your own good.
Suddenly, they are no longer alone.
The multiplying villains of nature do swarm upon him.
What the hell?
And fortune, on his damned coral, smiling, showed like a rebel's whore.
We're police officers, pal. We're with the finger. So bugger off.
Disdaining fortune with his brandished steel, which smoked with bloody execution.
In the clenched fist of black leather, we see a flash of steel.
He's got a knife.
V attacks, and at once we know this is no normal human being. A single blow sends the largest of the fingermen flying backwards. But more than his strength, it is his speed. A gun is cocked, but before the hammer falls, a knife is buried in the fingerman's chest, and before the body falls, the knife is gone. It takes a handful of seconds, and 3 bodies lay on the ground. V turns to the last fingerman, who is struggling to pull up his pants.
Jesus Christ, don't hurt me.
V steps forward, and he screams, bolting while holding his pants up.
Good evening.
Who are you?
Me? I imagine all manner of names shall be heaped upon my humble visage, but for now, let us simply say I am the villain.
He throws his wide cloak and bows deeply to her.
And you would be?
Evie?
Of course.
They hear sirens rushing towards them. In a blink, he scoops her up and dashes into the shadows of a narrow alleyway. Exterior, rooftops. Police cars and several ambulances swarm over the area with the dead fingermen. V watches them from above.
Why did you do that? Why did you help me?
Why indeed?
He takes out an old antique pocket watch. It is almost midnight.
Almost time.
For what?
For the music.
Music?
Yes, music. My music. You see, Evie, I am a performer.
Is that why you're wearing a mask?
We all wear masks. Life creates them and forces us to find the one that fits. Do you know what day it is?
November 4th?
Not for long.
He looks out where, rising above the rooftops, he can see Big Ben.
Remember, the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot.
The second hand sweeps into the final minute.
Tell me, Evie, what good is an actor that plays his part to an empty theater?
I don't know.
Nor do I. That's why you are here. I need you, Evie. I need someone to listen.
To your music?
Yes. Yes, to my music.
From his sleeve, he pulls a conductor's wand.
Can you hear it? It's already begun.
He begins to lightly tap the wand in the air, and, very faintly, we hear it.
I can't hear anything.
At first, you have to listen to very carefully.
He continues to conduct, and we begin to hear the music. Violins and horns that seem almost like a whisper, or a wind that steadily swells.
Ah, yes. There it is. Beautiful, is it not?
Continued. He turns to the parapet, his gestures growing grander as the music rises, and we recognize Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture. The music mounts a climax, and V points the wand at Big Ben as cymbals crash. Big Ben explodes with such force the world seems to shake, while V, smiling, always smiling, points again with another crescendo, and the Statue of Justice is blown into smithereens. V nods in appreciation while mustering the music towards its finale as fireworks begin lighting up the sky.
Oh my.
Everywhere across the city, people stand transfixed by the dazzling shimmer of the fireworks until a strobing final blitz leave a single starry image floating in the smoke-filled sky. It is the letter V.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
From every direction, the city screams with a panicked sound of sirens. Scene.
Oh, that's it?
Yep.
Oh.
This was the shooting script.
Oh.
Yes.
So this is like, hey, we're ready to roll.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So keep that in mind when we watch the clips.
So this was For those of you listeners that aren't screenwriters or don't necessarily have all the experience, shooting scripts are typically put together right before you're about to head into production based on any notes or direction you get in the planning portion, which we call pre-production, right? So once you've figured out exactly what your environment's going to look like and how things are staged and what the blocking's going to be and where and how the camera's going to move, you might go back in and edit your script to have some more specific direction so that it's prepared for whatever is going to take form when you start filming.
Yes.
Right. Not necessarily the first draft that you make that you pitch to the studio execs.
Correct.
And this is an adaptation work.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a graphic novel by,
Right.
oh crap, I had it written down.
Alan Moore?
Yes,
Wow.
it was Alan Moore.
Is it?
Damn, I was guessing.
I believe so. At least I do remember that name being associated
Alan
with
Moore
the...
was Killing Joke, wasn't it?
I think so. And he also did Watchmen.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right.
He would.
Based on the 1988 DC Vertigo Comics limited series of the same name by Alan Moore and David Lloyd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's a dystopian hero, as they call it.
Now, for a shooting script, wait, that's what you said, right?
Right.
Yep,
was
this
a
is the shooting script.
shooting script.
Mm-hmm.
It has, like, no camera direction.
Yeah, I feel like it was super clean for a shooting script.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess that's okay.
You
Cool.
can really tell that it's an adaptation because it feels literary,
Mhm.
like, in the descriptions.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. You probably haven't read a whole heck of a lot of scripts, have you, Matt?
Scripts? No. Read a lot of books. Scripts? No.
All right.
There's a little bit of a difference in that area, I have a feeling.
Just a little.
Well, as
It's
someone,
smidge.
as someone who doesn't have a lot of experience with reading scripts, anything about it that's interesting to you that's different from what you're used to?
Well, so that's a great question. And I feel like when I read, like, for example, when I read to my son, I intentionally create new speaking ways when I read to him, and I intentionally read it in a way that it seems like we're actually there.
Right.
So in some ways, this isn't too different, except that it's written in a format that she's narrating. I'm a character. You're a character. He's a character. So, I don't know. If I
So
answered
you
that.
like that separation?
Yeah, I do.
It's
because
easier to follow.
Right, because it's easier to follow. I don't have to make up new voices as I go along. I mean, thankfully, you were kind of do that. But it was nice to have, like...
Barely.
No, it was good. It was really, really good. And I think it gives some people feel the experience a little differently than
Right.
somebody just individually reading the script and, like, having to make up the voice and, like,
Right.
the context. You know what I mean? Like, B was a man in the movie. Evie was a female, so
Right.
there's just some character that got played that people could feel a little differently, I think.
So you've actually seen the movie before, I'm assuming multiple times.
A few times, yeah.
A few times? Okay.
Mhm.
Do you remember this scene fairly well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Reading the script, do you feel like there's a big difference between the two, or are they pretty similar? Like, do you get the same vibe from the screenplay as you do from that scene played out?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit different vibe because you actually get to see the visual aspects of these things happening. And we're
Right.
creating it with our language without a visual context.
Right.
So I think there's a dissimilarity there, but I think for all intents and purposes, I think it was pretty effective
Okay.
in delivering what actually happens in the movie itself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I definitely got like a complete disconnect of the visuals I'm getting from the script, and because I haven't seen the movie entirely, I have no idea what this scene looks like. So I do imagine that they're on a rooftop and they're seeing explosions, or they're like in an alley when she's about to get taken advantage of. But I don't know if that's what I'm gonna see when I finally do see the scene.
Those are the only two things that are the same.
Is this girl, like, how young is this girl? Because in the
She
script...
sounds
not
super
young.
young.
Yeah, in the script it makes her seem like she's really, really young.
No, she's maybe like early 20s.
Oh, okay, because in the script they talk about her like we're looking at a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and she's also not trying to be a prostitute.
Oh,
Oh, she's not.
No.
If I remember correctly, and I actually don't remember the movie all that great, I just remember being excited like this. I had some relatedness to it, right? The girl herself was actually helping the take out some criminals, if I remember correctly.
Eventually she does, yeah.
Okay.
And this scene kind of happens later, in a way, but it wasn't...
Is the story chronological in the movie?
What do you mean?
Like, does the story take place, like, on a linear timeline? Or does it hop around?
No, it hops.
It hops a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Flashbacks.
It's not quite like Pulp Fiction hopping.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
there's like two main characters, V and then Evie kind of get into play like and you get to see like the political things that are happening, like how V was created as a character and like what led up to him becoming a dystopian type hero in this particular movie.
Okay. So, Nero is someone speaking specifically just from a screenwriting standpoint with zero context. Any particular things that stood out to you in the actual writing format? Because this is
Couple
the
of
first
things.
shooting script, well, at least to my knowledge, this is the first official shooting script we've looked at here. It does have scene numbers, and we're not used to that because most of the time when we're reading a script, it's before it's ready to go to production.
Oopsie daisies. You're supposed to format it that way with the scene numbers when it's ready to be shot.
Right.
Oops. Sorry. When I wrote recently, and since I found out how to do it, courtesy of Angie,
Angela Houston?
Yeah, Angela Houston showed me how to put the scene
Scene
numbers
Yeah.
on the scene headings.
Right.
And she showed me that on Celtics, and I was like, oh, cool. And then ever since then, I've been just using it.
Right.
But if it's like actual practice to do it when you're ready to shoot,
Right.
whoops.
Well, it's not that you can't do it before then. It's just that it's not needed when you're still in that phase of creative where you're still going back and forth with notes on the script and you're making changes and things like that. Like, as you're revising the script, you don't have to know the scene numbers. You just need the page numbers. But once you get into production, now there are people beyond the writer and the producer who are using the script as a tool to see specifically what content are we shooting today and what is the visual setup we're building that aligns with that. So your scene header number might be aligned with a bunch of other paperwork for the production, right? So like your overhead diagrams, your shooting schedules,
Shot list.
Yep, call sheets, like all of it's going to have some of that information on it. So this way it's visual and immediate and easy to see, okay, we're on scene number whatever. I can go look through the script and find that specific number.
Gotcha.
Yep.
With your question earlier saying asking if I noticed anything formatting wise, there was, as we were reading along, I did notice like any sort of like sounds are just kind of like written in rather than, I think some scripts they'll just like have it on a separate line, even formatted in a way like all caps or whatever for that sound effect, where it'd be like boom, kaboom, or blam or whatever. I guess I'm not seeing that. It's just written within the action description, which I mean, I guess that's fine. Like I've seen some scripts do it and some scripts don't, and it's like whatever. As long as I understand what's happening, like with the song, hey, the song's actual title is on there, and anyone can like look that up while they're like reading or look it up later. So.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure it would have added a little bit more if, like, instead of it just saying Big Ben explodes, like, it could be different. V points the wand at Big Ben as cymbals crash. Boom!
Yeah.
Big Ben explodes, blah, blah, blah. And, like, yeah, that could have amplified the hype. So
it's like either or, like, I think that's just preference. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily something they did wrong. It's just
Different.
yeah, just their choice of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. Everything else seems super like clean in a way that there's not any like crazy formatting things done or like those like
Right.
shooting script notes on it.
Right. Like it doesn't have those specific like all caps camera directions and things like that.
I guess we're getting a little bit of it when the action description includes saying we move over or we see.
Yeah,
Or-
it's implying the camera's transitioning positions
Yeah.
without outright saying where the camera is going. It's just the audience's visual.
Right.
It's interesting, yeah. In a way, in that sense, it almost feels like it's, I don't know, because it is an adaptation, I'm curious who the screenwriter is, because it almost feels like not exactly screenwriting format. Like, it feels like a person who did this could be someone who doesn't just write screenplays.
Well, the Wachowskis wrote it, but I don't know if they did the screenplay for it.
They did?
Correct.
Oh, they made this movie, right?
Yep.
Was that
Larry
pre-Matrix or
and Andy.
before? That's before. I mean, sorry,
Uh,
after. It's after.
It's after.
After Matrix.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool. I need to watch this movie.
Yep.
Maybe on the 5th of November.
Right.
I wouldn't wait till then. I'd watch it before. Gives a little
Before?
more,
Okay.
yeah, it's a little more foreshadowing.
Hey, if anything, I know about Guy Fawkes, and I've seen his series. So the historical relevance of it.
Mm. Yeah.
So I got that at least.
All right, cool. Well, Ashley, did you have anything to say about the script before we hop into the scene?
Nope, just
I got
that it
a-
was
I got a
very
question for you.
interesting and different. What's up?
Oh, I was just going to wonder, like, what made you pick this scene in particular? Is it just
Oh, right.
his introduction?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the first time that we see V before. I mean, this is very early on in the movie. So this is his introduction and how Evie begins to be a help to him.
I feel
and,
like
yeah.
that's a good introduction. Like, all his actions, like, a girl is being taken advantage of. He interrupts them and takes them down.
Yeah.
And he, like, lets one of them go, right? So he's not completely cold-blooded, right?
Right. One of them does get away.
And then he kindly talks to Evie instead of, like, doing a Batman and just, like, disappears.
Running away.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
Technically, in the script, he does, because he swoops her up and takes her to a rooftop. But in the...
Well, he
you'll
also has
see-
a secondary purpose in that. Like, in the context of this scene, the way that it's written, we haven't seen the scene in the movie.
Right.
But in the context of the script, he even explicitly tells her, like, I need you because you are my audience and someone has to be here to witness
Which is
Right.
cool. I like
my
that.
symphony.
Yeah.
So
But he does swoop her.
he does have an
Her
ulterior
feet.
motive in a sense of, like, you know,
Yeah.
quasi-kidnapping her.
Just for like 5 minutes. Just
Wasn't
for
against
the-
her own will. He saved her
Yeah.
butt.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
need to
that's
watch
the,
this for just a second. I saved your life, so just watch. You'll be fine.
Yeah, right.
it's the least I can ask
Look,
This
you
is
to
against
do.
can you
your
come
will.
check out my art real quick? Like, I just saved you.
Oh, wait, can you-
It'll only
can you,
take a
like-
few minutes. I wrote the song. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, listen.
Can you read my
almost got raped.
script?
Yeah, right.
You want to develop my
Can you
app?
read my script? I know you're a young woman and you're trying to prostitute yourself, but you seem like you really get me.
Is this Natalie Portman, Kira?
Huh?
The
Oh, this is
Evie.
Natalie Portman.
Okay, no, okay.
This is not Keira Knightley.
Both.
Aren't they the same person?
It depends
Alter
on
egos.
it depends on which
Which accent
which
they're
Star
doing.
which Star Wars episode you're watching. Anyway, all right. Are we
Cool.
ready to
Yep.
watch the scene?
Let's see the scene. Let's
scene.
be ready.
Should we put it here? Like,
Before-
we
Yeah, yeah. All right, we will be right back, everyone.
This podcast is brought to you by Arizona Studios. Arizona Studios, a full-service video content specialist. We're here to illuminate your message and compel your audience to take the right action. For more information, head to our website at arizonastudios.com and be sure to tune in for more content on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Man, some context would help, right? I don't know about you, but I'm like, what's going on?
I
Are
don't
we
want to
rolling
spoil
again?
it for you.
No, don't spoil it. Don't
Yeah.
spoil it.
No, We'll
Watch
just
it.
Her and I will have to watch it.
we'll just talk about what
Can
we
I
saw.
borrow a copy? Do you have
Yes.
it? Okay.
Duh.
Is it not on streaming though?
It's probably
It's a
on
great
Netflix.
question.
I'm surprised it's not on this time of year, given the type of political.
Right?
Is that happening
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
Right now.
Meow?
I want to say it's on Netflix.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Are we already rolling?
So,
Yes.
someone took some liberties
Or some?
and changed a couple of things.
A couple?
Okay, wait, hold on. So first off, yeah, she isn't prostituting herself.
And she's also obviously an adult woman and not a young girl.
Yeah.
And her reason for being out past curfew, which I don't even think that was the case before. Like, they didn't explicitly say.
Not in this scene. She's actually on her way to meet somebody,
Okay.
and then she gets caught by these. There's like a government curfew that's happening, and you're not supposed to be out and about at certain hours of the night.
Well, that wasn't the reason that they stopped her in the original script.
Correct.
So that makes me wonder, like, okay, if our female character is completely different, and the context of why she's out is different, and they don't even mention a curfew, like, fucking how much of this movie is nothing at all like the script they went into filming with?
And remember, this is the shooting script. It
Right.
literally says it on the front page that it's the shooting script. So I want to read the rest of it
Yeah.
to see what else is different.
Like, that's a lot of pretty significant differences.
Mm-hmm.
And at what point in the story, well, this is page 8, so it's still pretty early in, I take it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what we saw was just like, in the beginning, it's just, like, kind of showing the characters that are, like, they're getting ready. So, like, Evie's in her room, and she's, like, getting dressed up and putting makeup on, and she's listening to the news or whatever, and then V's doing the same. He's getting his mask on and putting on his wig and whatever.
Getting his hair straightened.
Yeah.
It's like this is gonna be a grand finale.
Yeah.
L'Oreal,
like-
because I'm
Shut
worth
up.
it.
His whole spiel when he's revealing his name is, like, not in this script at
Right?
all.
You mean the V?
Yeah, the
like, grabs?
ridiculously V-covered statements.
Which
yeah.
is why I wanted to
That's
read
just-
this part, was because, like, one, it's the introduction to the main character of this movie, and then, or well, one of the main characters, and two, that monologue is so iconic, I guess, that it's not even anywhere in the script, and this is, like, supposed to be the final script for, for shooting, so it's like, where did that even come up?
Maybe he ad-libbed.
I mean, so, like, this is really, like, a chance to get to see Evie's character, because we only are, seeing seeing her as, like, getting ready to be out for a little bit. And we know nothing of V's character, just that he wears a mask. So
Right.
this is a good representation of who these characters are from
This
the
is
beginning.
like our inciting incident, right? Like
Yeah.
It's okay.
On page 11, I'm trying to pinpoint kind of like the estimated location of where that V, like, speech, that V monologue, where he's, like, going all V.
Yeah,
It's on page 11. That's what I'm seeing, because
it's between 11 and 12. It's like,
well, here he's like, this is when he's like, Evie is like, who are you? And then the lines said was just like, me, I imagine all manner of names shall be heaped upon my humble visage.
Visage.
But for now, let us simply say I am the villain. So the villain, the V in villain is kind of the basis of his name, instead of that one chunk of dialogue that's just a bunch of V's, right? Is that kind of like
it would go right there.
yeah.
Like,
That's
right
where
after
it would
he
get
said that
inserted.
is when
He
would
just
go into
has
the...
a much longer monologue now
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
he did originally there.
Well, and they talk a little bit more
Right.
before he takes her to the second location.
Right.
So-
There's a little bit more of a back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely would say that what was given on screen,
Mm-hmm.
I would lean more towards that than I do what was written.
What I'm curious about, above everything else, is what happened that made them be like, we cannot do this? Because a little part of me can't help but feel like, was there an issue in the producing side of things with having a younger female
Oh, the rape
co-host who has a rape scene and is playing a prostitute? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, was there an issue with that came into conflict in the production company that made them be like, or did they just get Natalie Portman and they were like, hey, we've got, a talented actress who is a known name, like, you're going to use her. You know what I mean? Like, could any of those things have happened and it been like, well, fuck me, okay, this is what we're doing now?
Why couldn't Natalie Portman's character also be, someone who's trying to prostitute themselves?
Right.
Well, I would, I do have those thoughts sometimes when I see that there is that difference when it's around the around controversial things, like young prostitution, and then it's like, oh, okay, I get why they changed it. Maybe it's because producer nah.
Well, and when did
no.
this come out? This was still the early 2000s,
So
right?
yeah, it said shooting script 2004.
So I can't help but wonder, again, that's kind of a touchier. Did they think that this would be a hard sell for audiences?
I will say that Evie being I'm using quotations here, folks, prostitute,
Right. Does come up again.
Right.
Okay.
But later, way later.
But I
Is
think
that
that she's an
before?
older actress because it might have been not palatable.
Well,
by the
and it's
production
kind of
company.
funny because they mention that her age as a prostitute. I don't know. You just gotta watch it.
Matt, as a fan of the movie, how do you feel about the differences between the two? Do you have one that you prefer?
Great question. So it's for me. My first response is I haven't seen the movie in a while. So
Right.
to kind of get that this wasn't what we read, wasn't what we actually saw in the video. Obviously, there's some distinctions there, and I think you could have gone either way. Either way with it would have probably worked for V to show up. However, there's a slight piece of integrity to if he's going to be standing up for the right thing, then there's going to be some kind of. If you're prostituting, that may not be the right thing if it's illegal. But if it's legal, then it's okay. Or if there's some morality behind it, you need to make money, so you're doing it. Kind of that balancing act, if you will. What's making it right or what's wrong.
I think I know what you mean. In the finished product where we see V saving her from being violently raped, she was trying to defend herself from the get-go. She wasn't looking for trouble.
Yeah.
Trouble came to her, and then he rescued her from that.
Yeah. And I think based on the character, what I know about from the entirety of the movie, it maybe that scene, particularly what we watched versus what we read, would fit the character more, given the scene that we showed on the video. This, then it's like you're there's an imbalance. There's kind of a questionable gray area of what you find is right or wrong. Whereas this is distinct. She was not purposefully putting herself in a situation, and these guys forced themselves upon her. V shows up, is that ain't gonna happen. Not only am I gonna kick your ass, I'm gonna blow this whole place to pieces. Right?
Right.
I think the character alignment based on the video scene had more integrity than this would have been. So
Okay.
I think somewhere along the lines they were this is a questionably gray area. We want it to be black and white so that people can relate to the characters. This guy is a pious, virtuous individual that's standing up for this person and the rest of
That crazy guy's the good guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you like a crazy person?
I do like that.
Yeah. I'm quite sure they would say so.
You know what? And also,
I do like that line, actually. They cut that, though, didn't they?
I mean, it's in the movie,
in the
but it's
movie?
not in
It's
the
in
script.
this-
there's
Oh,
definitely
okay.
more humor in the movie than there is in the script. I think.
Just a tad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
The character of V does have a lot of he's got a lot of charm to him. Even though the things that he does is very serious and very methodically figured out.
Right.
But when he says something, it's just very as a matter of fact and just not cutting any sort of bullshit. And but he doesn't say it in any sort of bad way. He just right out says it.
See,
And
that's
it's
interesting
Oh.
that you say that. Just because that's not and I'm sure I see the charming element to an extent, but watching this scene, and I don't want to sound like a bad person, but watching this scene, not knowing the characters and not knowing what direction it's going, I get this air of pretension from the character that I find unappealing. So it's interesting that you would say he's a very charming person.
I lean towards Alyssa.
Right.
Oh. I think
I'm
he's
lost
charming.
I'm lost on wait, say that again. I'm not quite clear what you mean.
Well,
So what about him wasn't charming to you that was less
like
appealing?
again, the pretentiousness. Like she asked him a question that seems like it should get a simple response, but instead he goes on to this tirade of words that he's speaking once so quickly that it's almost like, what's your intention behind speaking at that pace to this woman who doesn't know you? Because what's she actually getting out of it other than obviously you're obsessed with the letter V because you've pulled so many V words out of your ass. But it seems like a quick, fast mumbling of things. And then even when he shows up and he's speaking, a lot of times he speaks in what sounds like very poetic quotes, which again isn't like conversational per se. It feels like he's more focused in his own headspace and he's like acting out this weird hero fantasy thing that feels very self-involved in a way, even though he is saving this girl's life, but he's at the same time monologuing to himself in a way that sounds very detached from like the girl in the environment. And then when he takes her to, show her the display of his work again, like I want an audience, someone to see and acknowledge me for this beautiful work that I've done.
It sounds self-serving.
It's
like, I saved a day, now gaze upon my glory.
Look at my glory, yeah.
It's like, save the day and leave, and then your hero who's like, oh, who is that guy?
Who is
Instead
that
of like,
masked
oh,
man?
it's this dude.
Right, yeah.
He gave me his card, his number. He wants me to keep watching what he does. I'm like,
yeah. Which I don't have the whole context of the rest of the movie, so it might be different when you get further into it.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, that's what I get from it is it does seem kind of like it's motivated by someone who thinks highly of themselves and their intelligence and then is having a sense of superiority to whatever system's currently in place. Which, don't get me wrong, it sounds like it's a bad system, right? Like, obviously, we know these people are trapped inside of their homes. These guys who are supposed to be, like, a police force of some kind are raping this young girl, and they seem kind of sus. So, obviously, we know the system is broken. I'm not questioning that. It's just that the way the character is portrayed also makes him out to be kind of like, well, it comes across a little arrogant, honestly.
I agree with Alyssa.
Right.
I'm gonna support that.
Oh, it makes me sad.
That's okay. We know the truth.
We know the truth.
We'll be the arrogant people together.
They'll be fine. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, we might change our minds when we watch it and we get to see more of him.
We'll see. We'll see.
But that's the impression I get. I mean, don't get me wrong, I feel the same way about, like, not to be an asshole, and this will not be a popular opinion, but there are contexts in which when I look at Superman, I get a similar feeling of, like, this holier-than-thou Boy Scout personality that's just annoying.
I mean, they were talking about that in, Justice League. Like, he's like, oh, is he, like, our God? And see him as God? It's like...
They make it out that way.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed, in Injustice, they play with that a bit, and they do it also in... the Dark Knight Returns graphic novel and the subsequent animated film. I think that's Frank Miller. In those, it explores like this ultra patriotic, almost political figure that Superman's become in the country, and he has this very, again, like. It's ucky. It feels ucky. If you've watched it or if you watch it, you'll get what I'm talking about.
Kind of like Homelander-y.
It's very
Homelander.
very Homelander.
You have to watch The Boys.
You
just
now
gotta watch it.
You got to. All right. Any other comments on V for Vendetta before we wrap this shit up?
Nope. Just.
It's a fucking killer movie.
Well, we'll have to watch it.
With that said, I think the movie adds to a bit more of the script's or the story's personality than the script itself.
The script itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, great.
Also, Hugo Weaving is pretty good as V. Just saying.
Good to know. This has been a new episode of New Script on the Block. You just listened to a segment called Before the Scene. You can check out more episodes like this on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, and YouTube at Arizona Studios. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on all of those platforms. Leave us a review on Apple Podcast if you want to hear more stuff like this. Comment at us and let us know what scripts you want us to read next or what type of content you want to hear. Thank you for listening, and you'll hear us next time.